meeting on Friday. Do you expect them to take any real action?
Well, not actions in terms of going down to Libya and bringing him down, but they will maybe start the non-fly zone.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Well, Libya's situation continues to affect global oil prices. The world's top oil exporter, Saudi Arabia, trying to reassure, saying it will step in to fill any shortfall. And while that's eased concerns somewhat, the price per barrel for London Brent crude is still above $110 a barrel. Well, more protests are expected across the Arab world on Friday. In Yemen, organisers say hundreds of thousands of anti-government demonstrators will take to the street in Taiz, south of the capital. On Thursday, a pro-independence march in the south was marred when an activist was killed by a landmine. It happened in Laudar in the southern Abyan province, a stronghold of the secessionist movement. In Egypt, political groups are calling for another million-man march in Cairo's Liberation Square. They want military rulers to appoint a new cabinet, lift emergency rule and release political prisoners. Meanwhile, Egyptian police have detained the former information minister and state broadcasting chief. They are the latest arrests by prosecutors investigating corruption charges. And thousands of Iraqis are expected to take part in rallies calling for an end to corruption. The government has imposed a curfew in Baghdad ahead of the planned demonstrations. The Prime Minister has urged people not to take part, warning they could be attacked by Al-Qaeda. Well, anger over Ireland's battered economy is set to dominate parliamentary elections. Voters are expected to vent their anger at the Fianna Fáil party, widely blamed for the country's debt crisis. Rory Challens reports now from Dublin.
Look at Ireland's tourist board video and it's obvious what they want visitors to see here. A land of green lanes, friendly pubs and Celtic charm. But banking crises and humiliating European bailouts have hurt Ireland's image overseas. Hoteliers like Joe O'Flynn say they're fighting a losing battle worsened by bad government policy.
The room rates have been driven down to unsustainable levels, artificially supported by the banks, who won't lend to small businesses, but yet are expecting us to compete with them on a level playing field.
Ireland's tourism industry claims it can help power the country out of its economic woes if the incoming government makes some changes. There are big claims being made for what tourism can do for Ireland's current situation. Create 21,600 new jobs, generates $8.5 billion in revenues and $2.3 billion in taxes towards the battered public purse. The industry's flag wavers are making sure politicians on the campaign trail are listening.
All of the political parties actually have targeted tourism as one area that has potential to make a significant contribution, and a lot of policies have been suggested to get the tourism product back on track.
It certainly seems the tourists who've made it here like the island experience.
It's quite clear that they're suffering at the moment. I think obviously after the boom there's come a very, very quick bust, but we've really enjoyed the culture of the place.
I really like all the green grasses around the city, and I really think the Irish people is really friendly.
Everywhere we go, it's beautiful, and I would definitely come back again.
So it's up to the next leaders of this country, whoever they may be, to make sure there are enough tourist dollars to get Ireland moving again. Rory Challens, AlJazeera, Dublin.
You're watching Al Jazeera, bringing you comprehensive coverage of events in Libya. Still ahead, we'll look at Gaddafi's aid to Gaza, why it's a story of broken promises. Plus,
2, 1. Booster ignition and the final liftoff of Discovery.
Blasting off into the history books. The shuttle Discovery makes its final journey into space.
Welcome back to International Weather Forecast. First of all, starting in the United States, we have seen quite nice weather across the southeast part of the United States over the last week. That is all changing, though. Take a look at the satellite image. These clouds right here are the beginning of some severe weather we expect to see from Friday night into Saturday. Now take a look at the forecast. Notice all this rain shower activity here. That is where we expect to see the severe weather. And when I say severe weather, we're talking about strong winds, hail, as well as tornadic activity. Up to the north towards parts of Boston, New York, as well as Washington, that's all going to be different. We're looking at some very heavy rain and snow and possibly some travel delays. Out to the west, San Francisco, rainy conditions for you. Heavy snow out towards the east of there into the ski resorts, looking quite nice, but down to the south in Los Angeles, we are expecting some light showers into their forecasts. Now down towards Central America, we had seen some very heavy rain showers for parts of Panama, Costa Rica. Those are going to start to lighten up, but very heavy rain showers across parts of Venezuela over the next couple of days. Cuba, though, you remain dry with temperatures at about 29 degrees. Over towards Europe, we are looking at some messy weather, especially down towards the central part of the Med. That weather is going to stay in place. We are looking at some localized flooding for Italy, Greece, as well as Turkey.
Welcome back. Let's bring you the latest developments from Libya now. Residents of Benghazi say these pictures obtained by Reuters news agency are of mercenaries hired by Muammar Gaddafi to crack down on protesters. Well, he's blaming Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden for the uprising against him. In his second address to the nation since it began, Muammar Gaddafi remained defiant but spoke via the phone rather than appearing in person. While Libya's capital, Tripoli, remains on lockdown, more video is emerging of just how much control Muammar Gaddafi has apparently lost in the east. Jubilant protesters have been showing journalists what they've managed to seize in the city of Shahat. And the US president says the violent crackdown on protesters is indecent. But Barack Obama has stopped short of announcing direct action against Gaddafi. One vehicle the Libyan government has used to spread its influence internationally is the Gaddafi International Charity and Development Foundation. It's worked on aid projects around the world, from the Philippines to Gaza. But now recipients are turning their back on Gaddafi's charity. Nicole Johnson reports from Gaza.
This was one of the Gaddafi Foundation's more ambitious projects, sending ships carrying aid to Gaza to break the siege. Though in the end the supplies were sent overland via Egypt. The head of the foundation is one of Colonel Muammar Gaddafi's sons. High-profile stunts like this bought the Gaddafi family publicity, but some of Gaza's aid workers say most of the medical supplies sent were cheap and useless.
It was carrying medicines, disposables, with the small quantities, with also the kinds. It's not useful in Gaza. The antibiotics, the issue of disposables, cotton, things. Our stores are full of these, but the expensive medicines for chronic patients, it was lost. It was zero.
The foundation pledged $50 million to the United Nations in Gaza to rebuild more than 1,000 houses destroyed during the war with Israel. But the UN says of that sum, just $2 million ever arrived. And now there's little chance the rest of the cash will ever be received or accepted.
We don't